We have a video from WLKY. It's very impressive. However, I'm going to do 10 minutes of a Moral Kid program. This is going to be our opinion on how to stop youth violence. Our organization, Win the War Against Violence. When I see the violence in Louisville the last couple days, I think just the same thing, is that they did not get the message, these youth. Not only do they destroy the lives of the victims, they destroy their own lives, but they bring everybody down, the entire society, from preventing us from human survival and human advancement. And worse, they killed the last of someone's kind. Every individual on earth has an individual, one-of-a-kind identity. That is someone's soul, their spirit, their essence, their being. Every individual ever born, 100 billion people have lived on this planet. Everyone had a one-of-a-kind, personal, unique, individual identity. So when someone is shot on the street, it is the last of their kind. The problem is, talking to kids, your identity is on the inside. It's not on the outside. You can change your outside, but you were born, it is a gift from greater forces, whether it be God, nature, or both, depending on your beliefs. That is who people are. Their individual, unique identity inside their body. There's never a person like that before. There will never be another person like that again. Everyone is the last of their kind. And as I said, us humans are responsible, us adults are responsible for a lot of things, but we're not responsible for giving anyone their identities. And someone's identity does not have a race, a color, a religion. They might have a gender, that seems to be universal in nature, but other than that, someone's identity doesn't have all those human characteristics. I don't know, let's go to 34. Yeah, there you go. And then here's the other part, which I wish I could tell everybody on the planet, this message. All identities are good, and all identities are equal. Everyone's individual, personal, unique, one-of-a-kind identity, internal identity, their soul or spirit is good and equal. And we cannot judge someone else's internal identity. Everybody has a different wavelength. Everyone's identity is different. It's like a snowflake trying to judge another snowflake. Or one sun ray is better than a different sun ray. They're all good. Until we recognize every individual's unique identity I believe we will always, and give it the respect, the recognition it deserves, I believe we will always be fighting an uphill battle in violence. No one should ever be judged harshly on their individual identity. You will and should be judged on everything you say and do, and that depends on your status, your age, and lots of things, of course. But identity and identity recognition, we believe, is the key to violence prevention. Your identity is not only who you are, your identity gives you superpowers. The fact that every person born, 100 billion people born on the planet, has a uniqueness gives us almost unlimited power. The identity is who you are. It's the center of everything. As the gentleman said, everybody's already empowered with identity. We don't have to give anybody anything, and it's not ours to give. But the fact that every identity is unique gives us tremendous superpowers. What can we do with it? We can love. One identity can love another. We can have a spiritual connection. Some believe your identity lives forever, maybe. And your identity can never be destroyed. You can have a brain injury or accident, Alzheimer's, where you can't recognize it. But if you get that fixed, then your identity can never be destroyed. Kids always say, well, I don't know my identity. I don't know what it is. It's very easy. Let's do a couple of sentences. I always tell them, anyone like pizza? Well, yes, no, yes, no. They say, well, do you like tomatoes on it? Do you like pepperoni? Oh, I hate pepperoni. Mushrooms? Yeah. Thin crust, thick crust, takeout. What's your favorite brand? What do you drink? No two kids can come up with the same answer, like my family. So I tell kids, knowing what you like and what you don't like is a real easy test to know your identity. And kids might not be experts in everything, but trust me, kids are experts at knowing what they like and what they don't like. Same thing with their MP3 player. Do you like rap music, classical? I mean, kids love to voice their opinions. Heavy metal, like my poor kid. They like to sing. Do they like to dance, play an instrument, headphone speaker? No one's MP3 player could possibly be the same. Kids knowing, which they already do, know what they like and what they don't like, help them figure out what their internal identity is. It's really that simple sometimes. Now, so we call every youth, every person, an identity station. That's how our organization wants to fight violence, through identity stations. Every youth is one of a kind. I mean, you can't be anonymous because you're equal. We hear a lot of that. You can't be a ghost. And you sure as heck can't be a robot, so don't try. You are one of a kind. That is our one fact, that they're special. They're unique. They'll put it in your pocket, take it to the bank. But the sooner that youth get to realize their uniqueness, their internal uniqueness, the better. That's how we tell youth to fight violence. Put their identity in the driver's seat. Their identity is so strong to control their outside obstacles, if it's poverty or abuse or other outside. It's so powerful it can control the inside obstacles, which are even stronger, like mental health and whatnot. Your identity is powerful enough to overcome all that. Again, we warn them about identity killers. Extreme thoughts, everybody's got them. Extreme emotions, imitations. Humans are very imitative. But again, we can't be a robot. And mental health, without a doubt, as we spoke, is probably the leading cause. These are terrible outside hurdles, and as Mr. Ulrich said, majority of adolescents with mental disorders do not seek treatment. There is an army of depressed teens out there. Another identity killers, alcohol, drugs. Why is that identity killers? Because they turn your identity into mush. I have to explain, that's what mush is. No wonder people commit more crimes on drugs and alcohol, because identity is not there anymore. You become the invisible identity person, and nobody's home anymore. We can't even do our program in front with people with dependency issues because there's no one to talk to. The identity's been submerged. So we want, you know, this, as we tell them, you know, why is all these wars and drug wars in Mexico, all this violence? Because they're on drugs. That's why. So, as we like to tell them, this has got to be the easiest way I know to fight violence. If you can't do alcohol and drugs and keep your identity intact, then guess what? You can't do alcohol and drugs. It's the easiest way I know to fight violence. Now, there's plenty of outside hurdles, too, as I mentioned. Abuse, victimization, poverty, poor. Mahatma Gandhi, poverty is the worst form of violence. The stunting and what it does to a body. And by far, the biggest abuse we see is neglect. 2/3 of all abuse victims are because of neglect. Yep, back on. Should us adults help? Of course, that's what we're here for. But just in case, your identity is still your lifesaver. All alone, that can still, the identity is so powerful, that uniqueness can pull you out of anything. That's what we believe the solution is to violence. Your one-of-a-kind, personal, unique identity is the solution. It can overcome the internal obstacles like mental health, outside hurdles like neglect and abuse. And that's the one guarantee we give to the youth, that no matter how bad they have it, there was someone who had it worse and was able to overcome, and that your identity that you were born with is already strong enough to overcome any internal or external obstacle. That's number one. Number two of three of our program is, okay, you got your identity control. That's a big if. You got to believe in the good principles in life. What are they? Peace, life, love, freedom, and equality. We call them the high five. That's it. All of them wrapped up to one. We call them the untouched principles because they were not made by man. They were made by greater forces, God, nature, or both. They're not tangible. You can't touch them. They're all there. Peace, life, love, freedom, equality. Any good principle, I could put them on there. That's it. We call peace the first principle because without peace, it's the gateway to the other principles, because without peace, you're not going to have a chance to enjoy anything else. We call equality the super principle because not only does it stand by itself, but it ties the rest of the principles together. All other principles are equals. That's why we call equality the super principle. What are the bad principles in life? Selfishness, failed principle, hate, self-destruct principle, violence, of course, the evil principle, greed and lust, shameful principle. But if you took all the bad principles together, they're really just selfishness. So really selfishness, the failed principle, is the bad principle. And just don't take our word for it. Society rewards these things: love, freedom, equality. You practice hate, selfishness, violence, society will punish you for it. Anger. Anger is neither a good principle or a bad principle. It all depends how it's applied. Yes, we want people to stand up for themselves, youth to stand up. Yes, we want them to express themselves. But they're not the Incredible Hulk. When you get mad, you go berserk. You have to be able to control it. And I always tell them this one intriguing fact about anger. It is the wimpiest principle in the world. Like that, it can disappear. Oh, I told you not to tell Judy about that problem. I'm very upset with you. I'm so angry. Why'd you tell Judy? I said, not Judy, your sister. I told Judy that person in Asia. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. Oh, you just lost me $10. I'm so angry with you. Well, here's 20 to make up for it. Oh, okay. Poof. Anger is the wimpiest principle. Oh, sorry. Good, bad principle. Sorry. So we call anger the violence cliff walk. Anger, the violence cliff walk. It's fine to walk the cliff, but that one small step into violence is one heck of a long drop. Last part is we got identity stations, we got the high five. How do you do it? Here's the hard part. The skill set that you need. Bottom line is, the ends does not justify the means. You have to be moral to become moral. You cannot sacrifice one principle for the other. Cannot sacrifice life for freedom, freedom for equality. They all must work together as a team. No coincidence. And how do you know if it's working? How do you know if you're doing it right? Very simple. Family test. There's lots of principles out there. I told you front. These are the ones that family took in and made their own. Peace, love, life, and God. So if it's working in your family, and it doesn't have to be your kin, your genetic family, then it's going to be working elsewhere. If it's, these principles are not, then you're not practicing it right. So family is the acid test. That's why I always talk about magic glue. If I had any magic glue, I'd be sprinkling it to keep families together, because that's how that's the incubator of the principles, and that's how we know they're applied correctly. So that's a little bit of our Moral Kid program. Now I'm going to show you a very special video about Louisville crime by WTWAV, which I think is an absolutely fantastic video. And we're going to close Youth Alert 12/7/2013 at the Kentucky Center for African American Heritage on Saturday, December 7th with that video. Thank you all for coming.